everybody. It's really nice to be here today, and I hope it's the same for you. As the previous speakers, I do want to start maybe with a question. So I hear something from you. I'm curious how many times you've heard the AI word used today. More than 50? Raise your hand if you have an idea. More than 100? Well, maybe not yet. We'll see after this talk and the next ones. So I'm a lead product designer. I've been working for startups for almost 14 years. And more recently, AI came along. So it's one of the things we not only had to use, but actually makes the product that we are building better for the type of customers we are serving. And this talk, I want it to be really hands-on. I want to show you examples, so you actually maybe have a glimpse of how designing for AI works, and who knows, you could use some of these into your own startups. So the question is, as most startups ask themselves, how do you get from zero, from having nothing, to actually having a product that uses AI to the core workflows that it has? I want to give you a bit of a glimpse of who our audience is. Our product addresses, first of all, hardware engineers, so people who are technical, super smart, and they are very focused on security. These are the people who are building anything from phones to planes to even the car that you used to drive here today. And for them, we have created, our product is basically a requirements management platform that also uses AI at the core of these workflows. And that's what we are going to basically show you today. I wanted to have this intro so you have a bit more understanding of the examples. Why is this even relevant? If you remember, maybe there was a recent accident happening in January with one of the Boeing planes, right? And one of the many, basically. So engineers in the space, they have to really think of every single bolt that goes into that plane, of every single chair, of every single material, of every single circuit. And all that kind of sums up in probably millions of items written to document even before it gets built into a shape of a plane. Of course, now imagine being an engineer at Boeing, and you are a bit swamped with all the deadlines glooming, millions of things you have to take into considerations. It's just a matter of when, not if. Things will probably go bad. And well, part of the problem is there has been very little to no innovation for the tools these people are using on a daily basis. IBM created something extraordinary around 33 years ago to replace Excel. And since then, yes, there have been a few more newer products on the market, but what they did was basically bring some improved interfaces and cloud access. They never managed to solve the deep problems. So let's see a bit how we can actually change this. We started, as hopefully many of you have done so far, talking with users, right? And talking with users is a hard thing on its own, knowing how to ask the right questions. We realized after talking with dozens, or probably close to hundreds of potential users, that two of the core problems were never solved. And these two were writing good requirements, and to give you a quick idea, writing good requirements means you have to follow a certain structure. When you write a sentence, and that sentence, depending on the company you work for, follows other rules. And not only that, that also has to be validated. So the hardest part is writing good documentation. And when you have to do that every single day, day by day, it's still cumbersome. The other part was, OK, you've written it down, but now you have to connect to other parts in the system written by some of your colleagues. So after you've said, this is my requirement, now I have to test it. All right, could AI actually solve some of this stuff? I mean, yes, of course. The first one, writing good requirements, we took this and we built an AI quality checker. So very similar, if you've used Grammarly before, probably some of you have, right? It's the same idea, but applied to writing hardware engineering stuff. It follows certain rules. You can have the company that you work for can have its own set. You can define it to maybe follow what your colleagues are doing. And afterwards, of course, suggesting improvements. So now, thinking of that million document you have to write for a plane, this AI actually helps you write better and faster. Before this, there are actually consultants hired and pay a large amount of money to come in, read whatever you've wrote, and say, yeah, this is good enough, or this is not good, and you are missing stuff out. So it's not only about speed and accuracy, you also are saving money. And the other one was being able to create these links between different items, because the AI can actually look at the meaning of and the content of these items. So just a quick example would be, if you are building that plane, the plane has to reach a top speed of, I don't know, 960 kilometers per hour. That's fine. So that can also later on be linked to a test that basically tested that. So, all right, but maybe where's the AI chat? Everybody wants to. There is an AI. You should have a chat, right? Well, this was the beginning. We wanted first to tackle the things head on, maybe the hardest things, and then to actually see if an AI chat was suited for us and for our audience in particular. So getting there actually required a process. So besides talking with people, at the same time, we started, of course, understanding a bit better. What were the large language model pitfalls? We've heard maybe already about hallucinations. You heard they are biased. There is always a data privacy concern. And on the other hand, we looked at existing tools that many of you maybe are already using or have used, like Office 365, GitHub, Notion, and everything that those people were also using on a daily basis to see if there are already emerging patterns that will actually make sense so their life is continues to be easy and something that they can actually understand. So inline editing, dual window, wizard, command line. And the next step is, I think, maybe one of the most crucial steps that we took. And that was learning from subject matter experts. So be it system engineers, product managers, and project managers in their own space. Talking with them about AI in particular was not necessarily asking, OK, what do you want to build? What should we do for you? It's not just asking, like, imagining stuff. That rarely works. But rather, we wanted to understand first, have they used ChatGPT on their own, for example? Why? What did they try to do with it? Maybe what are other existing problems that we could try and solve using AI? And also, how these workflows work for them, and what are their concerns. And that's how we ended up understanding, OK, having a person in a loop in a system like this, it's mandatory. So it's not like, for example, in Notion, you ask the AI to summarize something, and it will automatically add the result at the end of your whatever document you're working on. This would not work here. So they still are the ones responsible for whatever goes in their day at work. So they still have to accept whatever the AI spits out. And without continuing with that, we've discovered other things as well. And those were used in the end to build out that chat functionality. It proved that it's actually useful for us too, and for them too. And on top, we've built a couple more, let's say, widgets or special functions. One of the very early examples was starting with prompt examples. Probably you've seen them too in a couple of places. And that's because apart from very few people who did try to use different AIs so far, the others were a bit skeptical. And they were skeptical not that they were afraid in using the AI, but they didn't really know where to start. So talking with those subject matter experts, we came up with a couple of examples that not only were actually helpful for them, but also we tested out, so the hallucinating part, it's a bit trying to resolve that so they will not get scared away on the first day the AI is going to say something that's not correct. Benefits, reliable outputs, easier to start with for sure, and that in the end leads to an increased adoption and speeds up the knowledge gathering process. Then another problem that came out of that, as they started actually using it more, was trying to refine the results, right? Maybe think of this. You are trying to apply to some jobs, right? And you are sending dozens of job applications, and you want to have your letter of intent customized for each of the jobs you're applying to. You could definitely do that with AI. Instead of having to scroll back and forward, copy-pasting what it first gave you, and you wanted to adjust it a bit, we took that idea and created a dedicated refining interface. In the end, that allows them to better control the output. Another problem, as they, again, started using more and more, was, OK, but how exactly do I know what the AI knows? Is the AI the mind reader? And when you have a very big document or millions of items or multiple documents like that, and sometimes you're asking questions or you want to work on something very particular, it was impossible to know if the AI pays attention to that, is aware of it, or like where exactly is extracting that information from. So we've built ways around it and having a way for you as the user in the end to tell the AI exactly what you want from it and where it should look. And lastly, as the last example, generating specific item types. This actually books us a few demo calls every single time we show this feature. Maybe it doesn't seem that much, but think of this. Again, coming back to the job application example. So now you are filling out that for 10 different companies, but besides the letter of intention, they require to send you the CV and I don't know, asks you a few questions that you have to answer. Takes time, right? The same in their case, where they have specific templates they have to follow. So it could be in a day, they have to write items of a certain type hundreds of times. So AI would actually simplify this. You can tell it exactly what you wanted out of it, and it will generate the content in the right format, including generating additional structure. And that also is speeding up the process. So our, let's say, design thinking process combined with AI looked like something like this. We started with awareness, understanding the basics of AI, the types, limitations, implications, and then, as I mentioned before, we brought in the experts, which proved like the most important and crucial step for us. We later on, based on all the feedback that we've gathered, went to define and figure out the problems we can start and AI could actually solve, and validating those problems with them. One of the early things we actually did was to create like this chat-like interface. It had like most ugly UI. That was not what we were focusing on. And then we asked our design partners to test it out, to start asking questions, like things they would actually use on a day-to-day basis. Of course, they knew we would be using that information to later on and looking at not only their questions, but also the answers AI provided, letting us to test both the AI outputs and make some adjustments. And from then onwards, we started integrating these features into the product. There are still things to do. I mean, we are not there yet. We are still always looking to improve the current functionality, adding new functionality. This is an iterative process, as many of you know. And at the same time, we are also trying to find ways to innovate beyond these small improvements. And future monitoring, always checking some month's Twitter and seeing what is new in GPT version 5 and what, I don't know, Gemini from Google does. Hopefully, we'll have also product market fit in that. So ultimate benefits, I think, for us would be speed and accuracy. And of course, AI does not replace the engineers. It empowers them. Maybe like some takeaways from this that you can apply as well. Works well if in a business-to-business case, at least. Understand users' needs, right? And by this, make sure if you are looking at other solutions, make sure you do test it for your own audience. What works for others might not work for you. And then you can go ahead and try to leverage some additional techniques as jobs to be done. And map out user processes, but really focus on the process and the user flows and their journeys to be able to identify areas where AI could actually, improve efficiency and remove bottlenecks. If you're only focusing on functionality as a product, you'll probably miss out. And lastly, I think co-create with users. Yes, everybody is going to tell you, do not ask users what they want, and that's true. But you have to know how to ask the right questions. And what you can do instead is validate hypotheses with your users. Also, if you don't have users, at least try. You can ask the AI as well. Don't be afraid. You might be surprised if you have a good prompt. Thank you for today. If you have additional questions, feel free to ask me around. And if you want to see kind of where we are going with this, just give us a follow on LinkedIn too. Thanks.